Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 225. My gosh, I can't believe the first month of the year is already gone. It's flying, I'm telling, and it's good. It's all good stuff. I trust this finds you doing well, you and yours staying safe, and all enjoying what the new year has brought. So thanks so much for taking a moment, stopping by, and listening. I'm really grateful. Also want to thank my good friends at Bedford Camera, bedfords.com. Use that Moose discount, whether you call or go to the website, MOOSE. And whether you need help, advice, just want to talk, Bedford is there. And of course, they're there especially when you want to place that order. Hey, we've got a special thing going at Bedford's coming in March, which is really just around the corner the way the year's going. Myself and my dear friend Robin Layton are going to be there. Should be posted on the website at Bedford's. Check it out, folks. That's bedfords.com. Well, I want to get right to this week's podcast, The Quest. Now, I just got back from an amazing week in Yellowstone. And part of that week is you're kind of like bouncing around the snow coach looking for that next photograph. Now, in particular, I'm always looking for critters. Actually, a couple in particular. One is the snowshoe hare, which I have never, I'm all choked up thinking about it, ever gotten in that park in wintertime. In fact, I don't have it from any winter shot. Very elusive. But that's not the quest I'm talking about. I love to see wolves. Haven't seen wolves for a few months. And that's not the quest I'm talking about either. And there's always those incredible landscape photographs that Yellowstone offers up at every turn of the road, every hill and valley. I mean, it's just spectacular. And yeah, that's not the quest I'm talking about either. It's the quest for that photograph that resides in my mind that I would like to see in the viewfinder. Now, that quest, I kind of assume others have it as well. I talked to a number of photographers and asked them in a roundabout way kind of questions to see if they have a quest, and many do. Do you? Now, what is that quest? Well, for this last week, I actually got one of those shots in my mind that was part of that quest. Been photographing coyotes now for 4 decades. I have been fortunate enough to have many, many, many opportunities. One, though, that eluded me, I finally got in the viewfinder this past week. Now, what is one of the main, criteria in a photograph for myself when it comes to the quest? Starts with light. Light is everything. You can't, I don't care who you are or what you do, you cannot make that up in Photoshop. The great light comes out there when the photo gods put it before you and opens up the world. It's magical. You know what I'm talking about. You've experienced those moments. We all go out looking for those moments and then looking for the subject to put in that moment of that light. So for coyotes, I've had some really marvelous shots of coyotes in good light, many times, many places. But then you got to pile onto that because that's not enough for my quest, at least. Next, you've got to have the world around that coyote really make that coyote pop out. Tell the story, set the stage, grab the imagination of the viewer and let it run wild. So I have lots of shots of coyotes, some in urban settings, some literally in my backyard, spring, summer, fall, winter, looking real shaggy, looking gorgeous, walking, sitting, chewing, eating, feasting. I've got all those kind of shots, but I still had a quest. So part of that quest was the light. Part of it was winter. So then you got to go back to the light, because to have snow in the photograph showing off those crystals, so you know how cold it really is, and then show off that coyote and that gorgeous winter coat they grow to deal with that cold scenario. Now you have to have special light, and you have to have special winter for those two things to start working. And then got to have the right gear out. And that's a challenge. So for example, this past week, I was really tempted to take my 800 millimeter lens. With what I was hearing and not hearing, I thought I was going to have a good opportunity with wolves. And wolves, for a number of reasons, between park regulations, their safety, and, not interfering with their own, basic daily survival, 800 millimeter, great tool. I didn't take it. I took the 180 to 400, which, for what I end up getting on my quest, was the perfect tool. It has the right focal length. It gave me the right flexibility, because I went back and forth from 180 to 400 to 560 in photographing this particular coyote. So that tool was really important. So I needed the light. I needed the story. I needed the right tool. And then in this quest, you got to be in the right place, the right time. And that's the one variable that, plan, luck, whatever you want to call it, it sometimes works out for you. Sometimes it just doesn't. In this case, we're out in Hayden Valley and cruising along, and there's a coyote. And like every other kind of critter out in Yellowstone this time of year, they like to follow the groom roads. As a groomer comes in every night with a big John Deere with a big 1-ton sled. He pulls behind it, and it compacts that snow along the road, makes it easier for vehicles to go up and back and forth. You don't dig down to the blacktop, don't tear it up. Well, that compacts snow for the bison and the wolves and the coyotes and everything. It just makes moving through that deep snow so much easier. And calories in, calories out, right? And if these critters can walk this road and not expend a whole lot of calories busting through fresh snow, they do better. So this coyote was walking down Hayden Valley, which is a spectacular place all unto itself. I could spend all winter there and be just happy as happy. So he's in front of us, and at this point, he's backlit. He's really backlit. So we kind of worked this scenario, and we stopped, and we took some backlit shots, let him get used to us and the snow coach, and then waited, and some sleds went by, pushed him off the road, off into the deep snow. At that point, we kind of gave him as wide berth as possible in the snow coach and went up the road way past him and gave him the opportunity to walk up to us. And he walked up the groomed road, which is okay shot, but it's flattened snow. That crystals I was looking for wasn't there, but got a great looking fox, had really gorgeous light. So now my quest for the photograph starting to look pretty good. Get out of the snow coach, the 180-400 D6 in my hand. Here comes the coyote up the road. It was obvious that he was not on a mission. He was out looking for, she was out looking for some munchies. You can kind of tell that their ears are cocking back and forth, and it's kind of like a radar dish. They're listening for these sounds, which is important why we get out. The engine's turned off. You don't talk. You don't wiggle your feet. You just stand there, because then they'll sit there and they'll go back and do their hunting thing. And this gal, come up and stopped, looked, listened, didn't do anything. And I'm like, he's getting a little closer. I'm getting more and more excited because I might have my quest. It might be coming. The light is just gorgeous. And the snowstorm is coming. So the pressure is kind of on. We've been dodging the snow all day. We've got this little window. Comes walking down the road, kind of looks at us, not really sure. And then, whoom, his left ear, right ear, pivots, no longer at us, pivots right to his right, 90 degrees. And all of a sudden you go, and then his head starts to turn. And then his left ear rotates. And now both ears are, looking at, as I guess ears are listening to, not looking at, right? We look with eyes, not the ears. Anyway, he's starting to move his whole head off the road into the soft snow. And I knew that he was about ready to sit there and stalk something. So he walked off the groomed road, not real far, just far enough that you don't see it in the frame. And then he stops. And my heart's going, oh, here he comes. And I've learned from the past my mistakes. So I'm going through this checklist in my mind. There he goes. He stops. His ears are cocking. And then you watch his head cocking. And he's cocking his head. He's zeroing. And then he leaps, pounces, and boom, hits the snow. Comes up empty-handed. Walks away. Goes around past us. We watch him go on by. Quest successful. So what was my photograph? What was I looking for? I photographed lots of foxes pouncing, but I've never got that perfect arch body, that up peak of action, just ready to go down in the beautiful light with that snow glistening, so you know it's just really cold. It was about -6, -8, somewhere in there without the wind chill. And then that beautiful light lighting him up perfectly. The eyes, the pelt, the background, nothing blown out, zero exposure comp, zoom, tack sharp, bam. 40 years in the making, that one particular shot. Lessons I learned from the past in this quest for this one photograph was, one, when they start to pounce, you tend to want to move the camera with them. Yeah, it doesn't work really well. You tend up cutting off body parts. A lot of times you either have them too low in the frame or they've jumped out of the top of the frame. So going to the framing of the subject gave him a little extra space. I realized that he's going to go up. His body's going to be elongated because he's jumping. It's going to be curved. So you zoom out 20, 30 millimeters. Next, you hit that button on that shutter release long before they make the pounce. And then you don't jerk the camera up and down. You barely move it up on the pounce, and then you barely move it down on the landing. I'd messed that shot up I don't know how many times. I never had the perfect set of circumstances of light and snow and background and pelt and everything like this time. But all the things before in my quest for the shot had set up this moment in the viewfinder. No matter what genre of photography you happen to love exploring with your camera, in there has to be a quest. And that quest is that photograph in your mind that you'd always love to have. Doesn't mean it's going to make you any money. It doesn't mean it's going to get people excited. It just has to get you excited. Has to help you push your photography forward by looking at all the elements you need to make that photograph happen. Light, lens, placement, all those things, story you want to tell, all those and so much more. And that quest, it's a mental thing. It's something you think about by looking at your own photographs, looking at other photographs, reading stories. All those paint that picture in your mind for that quest. Now, this is something that is hard just to put a handle on and just go about doing it. But I'm going to encourage you to open your mind beyond f-stop and shutter speed and lens and body and all those things, and just go inside and say, what is that photograph that I really want? And realize it might take, like it did for me, 40 years to get that one shot. And it's a really great feeling once you get it. It's just like, wow, I've got that shot. Now what? That's the best part, because the story keeps going. The quest never ends. So remember that. Think about it. What is your quest? Hopefully you'll capture it And remember to make every click your story.